At 0415 hours this morning, 12 Chinese Type 055 destroyers completed a full encirclement of the USS Theodore Roosevelt in international waters. It was the largest hostile naval formation to surround an American carrier since World War II. What Beijing's admirals did not know is that 47 minutes earlier, 3 Virginia-class attack submarines had already locked onto their flagship with Mark 48 torpedoes. At 4:16, the Renhai-class destroyers closed their formation, bows slicing through black water, hull numbers aglow beneath searchlights. Each Type 055 carries up to 112 vertical launch cells, more than any Western destroyer afloat. Inside those cells, YJ-18A anti-ship missiles and HHQ-9 surface-to-air interceptors stand ready, each with a range exceeding 200 kilometers. On the bridge of the lead ship, Captain Zhou scans his dual-band Type 346B Dragon Eye radar. The screen is crowded. American carrier escorts a scatter of electronic ghosts. The destroyer's radar can track hundreds of aerial and surface contacts at once, its active array punching out a detection envelope nearly 300 kilometers wide. 2 Z-20F helicopters sweep low, dipping variable depth sonars into the sea, hunting for the silent threat below. The geometry is textbook. 12 hulls, each over 180 meters long, spaced in a tightening ring at 8.2 nautical mile intervals. The Roosevelt sits in the center, boxed in by steel and missile arcs. On the Chinese flagship, the combat systems officer calls out vertical launch system status, 64 cells loaded forward, 48 aft, YJ-8 as primed for launch. The ship's displacement, over 13,000 tons, makes her the largest surface combatant China has ever sent to sea. Gas turbines hum at 30 knots, feeding the electric drive. The hull's angular design and radar-absorbing paint reduce her signature, but her presence is anything but subtle now. For the sailors on the Roosevelt's flight deck, the threat is immediate and overwhelming. 12 destroyers, hundreds of missiles, radar beams sweeping the sky and sea. Every visible sign points to a kill box from which there is no escape. But the Renhai's sensors cannot see what lurks below the surface, nor can their missile tubes reach into the deep. The Chinese formation is perfect on paper. In reality, the battle is already being shaped by systems and operators they cannot detect. 0420 hours. 50 meters beneath the surface, the USS Indiana, a Virginia-class attack submarine, glides silently along the thermocline, a layer where warm and cold water meet, bending sound and masking her approach. In the darkened control room, the lead sonar operator, Petty Officer Ramirez, leans over the console, headphones pressed tight. Every muscle is wired, every display is a lifeline. The towed array hums with the ocean's static, but Ramirez is hunting for something else: engine tonals, the low-frequency fingerprints of a warship's turbines. Type 055 destroyers radiate a signature at 130 decibels, their gas turbines cycling at a frequency that cuts through the Pacific's ambient noise. Even at 20 kilometers, the Virginia's passive sonar can isolate those frequencies, mapping the enemy's formation in real time. A faint pulse, then another. Ramirez's hand hovers over the gain dial. Numbers scroll across the screen, 8.2 nautical miles between contacts, 12 distinct sources. The geometry matches the Chinese encirclement above, but while the destroyers sweep the waves with active sonar and radar, their hull-mounted arrays cannot penetrate the thermal layers below. The Indiana's sensors, designed to exploit these layers, turn ocean physics into a weapon. Refraction bends the Chinese sonar upward, leaving a shadow zone where the submarine can stalk undetected. At 0423 hours, a sudden shift, a Z-20F helicopter dips its variable depth sonar, sending a burst of energy into the deep. Ramirez marks the transient, notes the depth, and whispers the bearing to the con. The captain nods. No course change. The Indiana remains invisible, listening as the enemy hunts ghosts. This is the legacy of Cold War cat and mouse, silent, relentless, and one-sided. Where Soviet Akulas once prowled, now it is Chinese destroyers chasing shadows. The advantage lies not in numbers but in the clarity of a single sonar ping, a line of code in the combat system, and the discipline to wait for the perfect shot. 0425 hours. Beneath the surface, a new player enters the fray. A Type 093 Shang-class submarine, hull number 413, creeps along the edge of the thermal layer, its reactor humming at just above idle. The O-93's acoustic signature, peaking at 120 to 125 decibels, still trails behind Western stealth. But in these shallow, noisy waters, even a modest improvement can mean survival. The captain orders a slow turn to starboard, using the hull-mounted HS-302 sonar to sweep for the telltale propeller beats of an American sub. Every ping risks exposure, so the crew relies on passive listening, straining to pick out faint traces against the background roar of merchant traffic and churning destroyers above. The submarine's patrol pattern is tight, weaving in and out of the carrier's projected path, never straying more than 15 kilometers from the surface formation. In the control room, a junior sonar officer marks a possible contact, a low-frequency anomaly barely above the ambient noise floor. The captain hesitates. At this range, the 093's sensors are at their limit, and the risk of counterdetection is real. The order goes out: hold silent, maintain course. From 0426 to 0429, the Shang stalks the kill box, hunting for the Virginia-class shadow it suspects is there. But the submarine's own noise, 120 decibels radiated through the hull, leaves it vulnerable. In these littoral waters, with sound bouncing unpredictably off the seabed and thermocline, the contest is as much about patience as it is about technology. Every minute, the odds shift. The Chinese captain trusts in numbers and proximity, but the ocean's physics favor the hunter who can wait, listen, and strike unseen. 0429 hours. The KH-11 satellite sweeps over the South China Sea, capturing high-resolution images of the Roosevelt carrier group, 12 Renhai-class warships, support vessels, and scattered heat signatures. These frames travel to the National Reconnaissance Office, where analysts rush to process and distribute the data. The fusion cycle, 3 to 6 minutes at best, means every second counts. A brief delay can turn a firing solution into a missed opportunity as ships change course and the tactical picture shifts. Satellites alone cannot fill every gap. Below the surface, USS Jimmy Carter, a Seawolf-class submarine built for special missions, listens at periscope depth. Her crew intercepts encrypted bursts on undersea cables, electromagnetic signals, and subtle shifts in ship communications. The Carter's fiber optic tap, proven in 2013 Pacific Edge trial, links the seabed to her signals intelligence suite. When Chinese fleet traffic pulses through a submerged relay, Carter's team captures, encrypts, and relays it via a laser buoy to a passing satellite, feeding it straight into Roosevelt's encrypted network. This sensor web fuses satellite imagery, submarine intercepts, and shipboard radar into a near real-time map. Hainan 2001 showed how a single blind spot can spark a crisis. Here, every link matters. 0432 hours. On the Roosevelt's bridge, Captain Hayes gives the order, activate full spectrum jamming. Below decks, the SLQ-32 V7 suite spins up, its transmitters pushing 250 kilowatts into the ether. The carrier's electromagnetic shield expands, scrambling enemy targeting radars within a 75-kilometer radius. F-35C aircraft, loaded with prototype advanced threat jammer pods, launch from catapults banking hard at low altitude. Their pods, still in limited operational test, pulse out adaptive waveforms, slicing through Ku-band frequencies and forcing Chinese fire control radars to cycle into low probability of intercept modes. The jamming envelope is tight, under 120 kilometers, but over 12 destroyers. Even a moment's confusion can mean the difference between lock-on and blind fire. Hayes watches the electronic warfare status board flicker, red, then green, as the Roosevelt's escorts synchronize their emissions, layering interference across the spectrum. The carrier's own Link 16 data links stutter, then stabilize as the electronic warfare officer times quiet windows for critical communications. For the first time since the encirclement began, the initiative shifts. The U.S. fleet is no longer just a target. It's an active, invisible force shaping the fight before a single missile leaves its tube. 0437 hours. In the Roosevelt's Combat Information Center, a cyber operator, Lieutenant Harper, stares at a wall of green-lit consoles. The order is clear: probe for a digital opening in the Chinese formation. She initiates a speculative operation, routing a test packet through the carrier's underwater acoustic modem. The data rate is a trickle, barely 10 kilobits per second at 5 kilohertz, throttled by ambient noise and the limits of underwater physics. There is no Hollywood-style cyber blitz here. Malware delivery at these frequencies demands close proximity, flawless timing, and a handshake window that rarely lasts more than 4 minutes. Harper's fingers hover over the keys as she watches the modem negotiate a handshake with a nearby unmanned underwater vehicle. The system logs every bit, every error, every failed authentication. The bandwidth is not enough for a full payload, only for a diagnostic ping. She notes the time: 0439. The cyber window snaps shut as a destroyer's sonar pings, flooding the channel with static. No breach, no backdoor. In this battle, acoustic modem cyber attacks remain a hypothetical threat, real in theory, but unproven in the chaos of contested waters. The operator's restraint is deliberate. The risk of exposure outweighs the slim odds of success. Meanwhile, the kinetic clock keeps ticking toward a torpedo launch. 0441 hours. A coded flash from Pacific Fleet Command cuts through the Roosevelt's comms net. The USS Indiana's captain, Commander Ellis, receives the authorization. The message says, "Execute strike priority targets." In the torpedo room, 2 Mark 48 ADCAP torpedoes slide into their tubes, warheads armed, guidance wires spooling out behind. The distance to the nearest Renhai-class destroyer reads 14.7 nautical miles, well inside the torpedo's 38-kilometer range. At Ellis's mark, both torpedoes launch in a staggered salvo, each racing at over 50 knots, programmed to home on the destroyer's acoustic signature. Simultaneously, the Ticonderoga-class cruiser Antietam pivots, VLS hatches yawning open, 4RIM-174SM6. Interceptors leap skyward, targeting the outer ring of Chinese ships. From the Roosevelt's deck, a pair of F-35C aircraft streak low and fast. Each releases an AGM-158CL RASM, a stealth anti-ship missile with a 500-kilometer reach, and passive radio frequency seekers tuned to enemy emissions. Within 3 minutes, the first Mark 48 detonates beneath the Renhai's hull, splitting the keel and flooding the engine room. SM-6 interceptors arc down at Mach 5, punching through superstructure. The LRASM missiles, flying sea-skimming profiles, slam into command decks. The Chinese encirclement fractures. In the Roosevelt's Combat Information Center, the electronic warfare officer reads back the Pacific Fleet message: "Target array neutralized. Escape corridor open." At 0446 hours, the real victors aren't always those with ships on the surface. In 2024, algorithms, silent hulls, and encrypted networks costing billions decide the balance of power. The next Pacific showdown may be won before the first missile leaves its tube. What would you risk on that bet?